Welcome to the main stage with Boombox Music Talk.
For me, for my own self, now more than ever, just want to enjoy playing and just enjoy the fact that being a musician and being able to play something is remarkable to begin with, and
right.
being in a band with like-minded people is remarkable in its own way.
Yeah.
And then actually going out and playing somewhere where people will pay to see you play is even a bigger thing. So the odds are stacked against you as it is, and so to just kick back and see what that is and just enjoy that.
Coming up in half an hour's time. The time now at Radio Netherlands is midnight UTC.
Welcome to Boombox Music Talk. I'm Mark, and today on the main stage we have part 2 of the Antonio Brazil story.
Watching, waiting, the sun is shining, yet it's so beautiful. What
With me to launch this California kid is good friend and musical brother, Mr. Kirk Harper.
I've been running things my own way. True players from the get-go.
Hey man, how are you?
Doing good, brother. I appreciate you coming on this episode. Come back on the show, actually.
Thanks for having me, man. I'd love to be back.
No doubt. Well, and while I'm saying thank you, also, thanks for helping us launch the podcast. And
absolutely, man. It was my pleasure.
1 year in, and now episode 14 with Mr. Tony Brazil. And if you missed part 1, definitely check it out. But why Tony? I wanted to have Tony on because he comes from our inner circle of East Texas musicians.
Careful, there is no inner circle.
And was an influence on me as well. And I've been, trying to do the rounds and pay my homage to him.
That's very cool.
Yeah, man. And I wanted to have Kirk on this episode and do a little intro because you guys, as you mentioned on your episode, used to jam together, right?
Absolutely, man. We were the first version of Brazil. It was, we had a really great experience as a bunch of young guys starting out and making music. Tony was in another band called Illusion, and we were all kind of mutual friends, and we all had such a cool little run in our area, especially, man. People around East Texas really made us feel like we were real rock stars, and it was just a different time in music. It was super cool.
Rockstar is a perfect word. Even in our microcosm, there was a feel, an air about that time, and that's why I'm so nostalgic for it, and why I'm doing the podcast. Part of the reason why I'm doing the podcast, at least, because it was just such a cool feeling, and
there's no better reason to do it.
No, there's really not, and because I can still remember, even I think in the White House middle school gym, I can remember coming in and seeing y'all set up. I think it was your kit in the corner.
We were in the cafeteria. Was
it cafeteria? I thought it was the gym.
Yeah, because it had the big band stage in there.
Yeah, okay. I can remember seeing your kit because I think Wizard played it, and Brett just played on your kit because they played a couple songs and then y'all played a couple songs.
Yes.
And it was, oh man, I can see it clear as day though. I can see the kit sitting there like, oh man, that's a kit. They got jam.
it seemed like everybody in White House was in that cafeteria. It was a deal for the cheerleaders.
Yeah.
They were doing a little, they had a school trip that was planned, and my sister was like, hey, my Bubba's got a band. So we were like, yeah, let's go. And it turned out to be one of the most nostalgic, coolest little things that we ever did. Support of your hometown is, I mean, it's such a different thing than anything that you meet up with when you actually hit the real world.
It really is. It really is. And I have to give it to that area because they really embraced all of us and supported us. And it does take that for you to be successful a little bit, whatever, success means to you. But it's nice when you have people, supporting you.
They were so good at giving that energy back to us when we were kids. It was just amazing.
Yeah, it really was. So do you happen to remember what kind of made you feel like you guys could make a good, musical team?
Well, yeah, Tony was always a very driven artist, a very driven songwriter. He always had a great work ethic. He was always very prepared. There's just all of these very meaningful, tangible kind of qualities Tony had, and Tony had a vision for where he saw himself, going and what he was going after. And I think because I had that same kind of drive, it just made a lot of sense. Plus, I think when we got together, everybody had a little bit of a chip on their shoulder,
right.
In a good way, and it's kind of, we kind of were born out of that we'll show you guys kind of thing. And it served us very well because the players were we were all so young and we were dialed in and we were so hungry that we just put everything that we had into that band. And I think we've found each other at a time where we really needed each other. And I think that was the one of the perfect parts about the band is the guys that were in the band just felt like we all came together when we all needed each other at a young age to kind of move to the next level of where we wanted to go. So that was kind of how we met.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Because he definitely is kind of like you said, he brings a lot of those intangibles to the table outside of just the musical piece, which he's obviously a great musician, but there's a whole other side of things that I think he brings to the table. After you guys played together for so long and then went your separate ways, were there ever any things that popped up that you went, oh, you know what? I think I got this from Tony, or just different ways that he kind of influenced the way you went about some aspect of playing music?
I think what I mainly took from Tony, and especially as young as we were, he was always a very good role model, I would say, in how to be prepared for rehearsals and how to be prepared for gigs and how to put in the work before you get to your final destination. And that's one of the things I think that Tony played helping me fashion the rest of what would be my career over a lifetime was in the very beginning, being around, and it helped. We also had Timo Elliston, who was our keyboard player, and Timo, I think, drove both me and Tony to be very focused and goal oriented in the way that we and professional and journeyman like in the way that we approached how we got prepared for what we were about to do and the songs and the material that we're covering. And I think I probably took a lot of that from Tony and from Timo. And I think we all kind of worked together to kind of help each other with, hey man, we got something serious and we have the means in which to, go out there and do our thing. And everybody had the attitudes of we definitely know how to go out and try to be real pros at what we're doing and being thoughtful and kind of methodical. And all of those things were formulated when Tony and I played together, for sure. Just the work ethic.
it's like there are a lot of talented people who never make it because they don't have the work ethic to make it. It's not just talent. Like, talent's a piece.
Yeah.
And you could argue for some people the work ethic trumps the talent, you know?
That's awesome. I mean, that is an extremely valuable thing to have when you're talking about any career that's art based. You know, you have to have a certain level of having your shit together and commitment and focus, because if you don't, it's not going to happen, because nobody's going to push you to do that. It's not like any other job,
right.
You know, you've got
Right.
to do it. You've got to be the one figuring it out and being structured and all that. Nobody's going to tell you, hey, go practice 3 times a week. You know, like you got to do your own shit, you know, you got to figure it out.
You got to know that you need to do that.
Right. Yeah.
You have to be driven in any great band, artist, writer, you know, as well as I do, being one, that the people that really are driven to put in all of the extra work, and when everybody else is doing, you know, fun stuff, you're doing your own fun stuff, and you're in there rehearsing and you're working on it, and you're foregoing things that everybody else is in, experiences that everybody else is going through to really work on your craft and your art and all that kind of stuff. And it's the people that kind of do that. And Tony was always one to be that way. And I think that's kind of what attracted all of us together.
So as someone who knows Tony well and has spent time, you know, on stage and in the studio with him, what do you kind of want listeners to know most just about him, maybe outside of music, kind of going into this conversation, just him as a person?
Tony is a really genuine, sweet, kind-hearted person. Tony's a giving person. He's a very thoughtful person. You know, his family is just absolutely amazing. He's great mom and dad, and he's just one of those guys that kind of never met a stranger. He's just always been one of those guys that just gets along with people and is able to make friends across the spectrum with whoever is around him. He's just one of those kind of people, and I think that's always served Antonio very well. And I think that this new deal that he's doing is I think it's one that he's tailor-made for, and I think this really is right up his alley. Plus, you know, that band is getting an amazing guitar player, somebody that's super solid, great songwriter, great part writer, and very thoughtful with the way that he approaches it. So I know that they've got a strong asset in Antonio. He's just one of those guys that if he's in the band, he is 100% focused on the task at hand, making the best music that he possibly can. I think that probably is one of his greatest assets.
Those are the kind of people that throughout these episodes he talked about he wanted to play with, is just sweet people, you know?
Yes.
And I think that's one of the things that's kind of cool about our inner circle is that,
and he is an expert on magical circles.
There's a lot of talent there and some great people, but just nice people, sweet people. We've all kind of just looked out for each other. It's been about us, and then the music kind of comes second.
Yes.
Even though we're very passionate about the music side, it's still about family, you know.
100%.
That's a great way to sum up this intro. So, you know, I really appreciate you being here with me to introduce part 2, The California Kid, for Antonio Brazil, because, you know, you are somebody who has a more intimate knowledge of just him as a person, the way he works and those kinds of things. And it's really nice to hear your insight and your perspective on it. So I appreciate you being here for that, man.
It's my pleasure, man. It's always easy and fun for me to say cool and good things about people that I love so much and that are so close to me. I can always brag on my friends.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, speaking of bragging, you listeners, if you would like to, we always appreciate for you to rate, review, like, all that good stuff. Do the necessary things. If you want to check out the full plethora of boombox across all the universe, go to Linktree. That we've got all of our links there. And if you dig what we're doing, as always, check out the Patreon. Love to have you over there. We've got tons of bonus content there for people who are helping make the podcast happen. We've always got bonus stuff coming out with every release, and we got some out of this that won't be in this intro already from this conversation. So yeah, man, once again, I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks, Mark.
So for Boombox Music Talk, we urge you to be like water and go with the flow.
California.
So speaking of family, I wanted to rewind. I joked in the intro about the California kid, which totally makes it's so funny. When I was talking to Kirk and he was telling me about one of his biggest influences, obviously it was like, okay, Kiss, we all had that kind of Kiss, Destroyer, influence. But then the other side of him was, he was like, but I had a buddy and he showed me Parliament Funkadelic, the Mothership Connection.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as he told me that, when he said those words, Parliament Funkadelic, Mothership Connection, I was like, holy shit, that is so you, more than anything I've ever seen. I
see where that comes from.
Yes, I'm like, I understand you so much more now. And I'm like, that's so funny. Like, Tony, the California kid. So were you super young when you came over?
Yeah,
or?
So I was born in California, in Los Angeles, and was a teenager when I moved to Tyler. So
okay, well, that's pretty. I mean,
that's
old enough to formulate some thoughts and shit.
So, what happened was I was a child actor in LA, and just started getting into it, and I barely started playing guitar, and I was doing a bunch of theater. Was starting to get a manager and agent and stuff, and was starting to go for bit commercials and all this kind of stuff. And my parents were like, "Oh, we're moving to East Texas."
You're like, "What?"
I was like, "Where is that?" One story I wanted to tell, a California story I had to tell you. So I was in this acting company, and I was doing a play. And I met this girl named Allison Roth, and she was a very sweet girl. We became friends. We did a play together and stuff. And she's like, "Hey, do you want to go see my brother's band play?" And I was like, okay, cool. I was a little kid. I was like, I think 11, 12, 13, somewhere in there. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, we'll have your mom drop you off at my mom's house, and we'll go. And I'm like, okay, cool. I had no idea who it was. It's like my mom drops me off at her house. I go in her apartment or her house, and there's pictures of Kiss on the wall. And it said, "Hey, Dave, Japanese women are great in Japan," and all this stuff. And I was like, "Holy shit, this is Kiss!" Well, I didn't know this, but Allison Roth's brother is David Lee Roth.
Oh, there's an inner circle. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, here I am, ain't no man of the world. All I need is a beautiful girl. Oh yeah, beautiful girl.
So I said, "Well,
funny."
I was like, where are we going to see your brother's band play?" And she's like, "Well, we're going to the Los Angeles Coliseum." I was like, "Are you shitting me?" No. So we got in a limousine.
And you didn't know this?
I had no idea this was coming. I didn't know who Van Halen was at all. Maybe a little bit from my brother, but my older brother. But
now, would they have been signed?
Oh yeah, they were Van Halen 2-ish.
Okay,
I think it was around this time. So anyway, so we get in a limousine and go to the Los Angeles Coliseum for a California Jam, whatever. It's like 100,000 people there. I get out of the limousine. I get a backstage pass on my leg, and I get to go back. Aerosmith's walking by, and Ted Nugent and Eddie Money and all these. Everybody was there.
Yeah.
And so I sat.
You're like, what the hell?
So I sit between Eddie's mom. Eddie Van Halen's mom is on one side of me, and she was this little lady, sweet lady. And David Lee Roth's mother was on the other side of me. And I'm like this little 13-year-old kid watching Van Halen. Right. And I'll never forget this dude. David Lee Roth comes out on stage. Hey, motherfuckers, this is awesome. We're going to kick some fucking ass tonight, and doing all this shit. And all I could think of in my mind was like, oh my God, I wonder if his mom's getting mad at him for cussing so much. So I was sitting in between David and Eddie and Alex's moms. And they were very sweet. They kind of took me under their wing and made sure I didn't get lost. Because this was all like, I was in a world that I had never been in before. Get backstage after the show and go into like a little trailer thing. And Allison introduces me to David Lee Roth. And David was super sweet, dude. He was very nice. And, hey, man, how you doing? You know, David Lee Roth voice. And yeah, my sister taught me everything I know, and you know, and all this stuff. And so that was the first rock concert I'd ever been to. It was the last thing I did in Los Angeles before we moved to Tyler. Yeah. And when I got to Tyler, there was nothing. Yeah. You know? There was no acting.
You went from that to Tyler.
To Tyler.
Especially Tyler back then.
Back then, especially. There was nothing. There was no, I mean, Hobbit was the only band that was doing anything at that time.
Right. Make your choice. Each day is all it's on. They go by one. They're counting on the run. And it's only here for you. And it's only here for me. I wonder if they use the years to keep your score.
And so what that did for me was it turned my focus away from acting, because there was nothing to do there except go to school plays and stuff, and to being a musician and started playing guitar a lot more, and started learning chord structures and how to play. And it was a good thing for me in one way, the way I learned, and a bad thing. So the good part of it was I immediately started writing music. I didn't know that you need to learn other bands' music, and you know, I just kind of naturally started writing music right away. But the problem was you know, I think we gain our ability in playing by learning other bands' songs and how they play, and it teaches us that. So I kind of skipped that a little bit and had to go back around to sitting down and learning other bands' leads, and because I loved Ace Frehley, I loved Eddie Van Halen, I loved those guys. But I didn't have the ability because I didn't take that step.
Right.
So it was a good thing in that I started writing music right away. It was a bad thing because my guitar playing suffered for a long time. you know? And then I wanted to be a sloppy, like, fast lead player, which was stupid.
I think I kind of had a similar journey a little bit too, because I was much more about the songwriting process, even from a very, a young kid, just trying to, I wanted to tell stories. I had a lot of stuff inside of me that I wanted to get out.
So that's cool.
And it wasn't really about the guitar necessarily. And so the lead thing, and John would try to, he would try to sit down and show me scales and do all these things, but I literally just had I would,
right.
Yeah. I was like, scales, like, but, I want to, I don't know. I want to sing my heart out, and that kind of thing. And so it took me, I had to come back around to it. It wasn't until after I graduated high school, really, and started playing in a cover band. And, I got to learn how to play some shit if I'm going to do this. And then, you start picking things up. And
well, I mean, I sang in Foursidecircle for a long time, so I kind of quit playing guitar.
Here in Brazil, it's cold and it's raining. It's supposed to be fun, but the weather here just drains me.
My guitar playing suffered even worse because, I think the best sounding playing at the time that I did was probably Boom Shanka, because I really kind of did the King's X and the blues playing. Yep. It was kind of fit my style. So when I moved to Dallas, I quit playing for a long time and just sang in Foursidecircle. And so when I came back to the guitar and started picking up and playing again, there was a lot of it I had to relearn. And then when I started playing with Marquis of Vaudeville, it's some of the hardest music I've ever played in my life.
Really?
Amazing
Why?
stuff. Well, because Toby is like the main songwriter of the band, and Brian Geddes is the guitar player. He's still a part of the band, but he just doesn't play live shows and stuff. He's an amazing guitar player. So his teacher was Derek Taylor. I don't know if you remember.
Oh,
that. So
yeah,
Derek, and of course,
sure.
we knew Derek from Tyler and everything. So Derek,
Brett played with him for a little while after Wizard.
Yeah, Derek's an amazing.
And he was all I always knew about Derek back then. Anyway, I know a lot, know much more now, but back then it was just Brett talking about how fucking hard the shit was to play.
He's an amazing player, amazing. So Brian was, from what I understand, was Derek's student.
Okay.
So his playing is real similar to Derek's, right? And can do the sweeping and just an amazing play. He was an amazing player. So between Toby writing these really cool, difficult, like chord progression songs, Brian would come in and kind of make his own thing into it. So the music is difficult to play. It's way out there. It's fucking awesome. I love it.
'Cause we're all mad here. None the least bit queer. The cards will fall, my dear. 'Cause we're all mad down.
what these guys, this is a funny thing though, man. These guys, they do something that I wish I would have thought about doing a long time ago when playing with another band or trying to play with another band. What these guys do is, hey, we want you to come play with a band. What we have is a guitar player is making you videos and showing you exactly how to play them. Because we know this stuff is so weird, they set up an iPhone and film themselves playing the song, go through it step by step. You have your own private tutor, your own private guitar player teacher. You don't have to guess what key it's in. You don't have to guess. There's no sitting down playing by ear. It's all right in front of you. And I thought, you know what? God dang, man, this would have been an awesome thing to have years ago. With anything you did. Just set up a video camera. If it wasn't an iPhone, if it was before that, you could just set up a video camera and play. Hey, we're going to play these songs. This is how you play them. Instead of going, here's a tape, go learn the songs. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. On Brett's episode we had a whole conversation around that idea that, that's one reason why I think people overall, there's so many more good musicians out there, and from a young age, good.
Incredible.
Because they have so many things, at their disposal. If they want to go learn, I don't know, Yngwie Malmsteen, there's somebody out there, or let's say Metallica, something more relevant today. Metallica song, there's somebody out there that's got a tutorial video that's showing you every little thing to play on it.
Step by step.
Yeah. You don't have to take the tape recorder and try to rewind and play and rewind and play, and then you might not even be able to hear some of it. Your speakers sucked, and
you might pick it out wrong.
Yeah.
Now
you can do half speed and all these kinds of things that are at their disposal now that you can't help but be able to be a better player, and that combined with just so much more exposure to things, not just the methods, but just all around exposure.
Yeah, putting it in conjunction with what you're doing, I think. So like with Marquis of Vaudeville, playing that style of music was so out of my ability. You're
like, hell yeah, let's do it. I'm going to play. And then like, here, you got to play this. You're like, oh shit.
God. And that was the other thing too. It brought to me I'm definitely now more regimented about practice. Practicing with a metronome, which I never even thought about, but that structures your playing, and practice these chords and practice these scales and put in the time, put in the 10,000 hours, And I'll say, in the last 2 years that I've been playing with this band, I'm probably a better player now than I've ever been. And it all comes from those guys, coming up with a great idea. And that's such a great thing and loving thing to do, because they want not only the success of the band, they want you to be successful by giving you everything you need to play the music in the band.
Yeah,
so,
right.
I love it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is just, one thing my dad taught me growing up is hard work cures most ailments. Like if you just put in the hard work,
practice,
good things are going to come out of it. And that was always the thing, like growing up around John, he's obviously he's a ridiculous prodigy dude.
Guitar player, yeah.
People, we would go play live or just around town, people would see it and talk about it and like, commenting on it. And I was like, yeah, but you didn't see the 1,000 hours of him sitting down watching Mystery Science Theater 3000 for 5 hours, just doing scales the entire fucking time.
One of my favorite memories was sitting around with my brother John watching Mystery Science Theater 3000 He would be playing his guitar, practicing. I would be doing God knows what. Probably not practicing my guitar. But we would just have some great times watching that show, laughing our asses off. And one of my favorite bits is from Space Mutiny, when they were making fun of the many names of David Ryder, this big buff dude.
Let's get out there, kick some ass!
Trunk slam chest.
Fist rock bone.
Stump beef knob. Smash lamp jaw.
Punch rock groin.
Buck plank chest.
Stump junkman.
Dirk hard peck. Rip steak face.
Slate slab rock.
Crud bone meal.
Rip slag cheek.
Punch side iron. Gristle McThorn body.
Slate fist crunch.
Buff hard back. Bob Johnson. Oh wait. Blast thick neck.
Crunch butt steak.
Slab squat thrust. Lump beef broth.
Touch rust rod.
Reef blast body. Big McLarge huge. Smoke man muscle. Heat punch beef. Hack blow fist.
Some things you just got to put in the work, to be able to get to that point. It's not. Now, there are some people who, whether it's, reincarnation or something, that just can do it somehow. But those are very far and few between.
They are. And
you have people like me who I realized very quickly when I saw John, I was like, nope, I'm going to learn how to play just a bunch of different instruments and just learn how to write.
I wondered for you, especially being the youngest, growing up with all your brothers being,
I was like, I'm never going to be able to do
I wondered
that.
where do I sit in this? What do I do? How do I fit?
I think that's why my stuff, a lot of time, I just always wanted, and this is probably a detriment on some level, but I just always wanted to do different stuff. I wanted my stuff to sound unique.
Won't someone wake me from my coma? Won't someone wake me from my coma? My coma. Halos slipping down. What's your halos slipping down? To choke you down. Someone.
There's nothing detriment about that. It's being original.
Well, I mean, it not anymore. I feel like nowadays, but back in the day, during it was a little harder because people, they wanted you to sound like whatever the latest radio trend was, and if you are breaking new ground, that only works if you are the Linkin Park that gets signed.
This feeling is something I would never wish upon anyone.
You know what I mean? And somebody take the chance on you. Otherwise, all the other Linkin Parks that have been doing it along with them, nobody knows of them.
Starting from here, my head is where I feel numb. From the front of my neck to the base of my soul, I'm taken aback by the way my mind is working. Like Paul, my emotional control is always shifting.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, but it's still, I would rather have that. I would rather not I don't know. I would rather be me and put out something, that's true to myself and different, that doesn't sound like every other band that's, anyway.
It's great stuff.
I appreciate it. I
love it.
That's my personal approach to things,
Yeah, I love that.
And but also again, having people around you, if you're going to do stuff that's a little bit more complicated like that, and you've got to play with a click to pull stuff like that off, if you've got samples and different things playing with you, that means you've got to have a drummer that's cool with doing that. Yeah. And they're not all cool with doing that.
Yeah,
they don't all want to fucking click in their ear the entire performance. And I get it. I totally get that. And Brett was like, no,
not into
fine.
that. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Oh, he was?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Okay, good.
That's a reason why that band was even able, I was able to do what I was able to do because I had somebody like Brett that was like, oh, I'll play with the click if it means being able to put something cool together, you know?
So much, it helps me kill the pain. 'Cause you're not here with me. So much, it helps me kill the pain. You're just wiping away.
I was going to the worst place in the world, and I didn't even know it yet.
That makes me wonder. So when you guys played and he had a click, did all of you guys have clicks?
No, just him.
Just him.
Yep.
So with with Marquis, it's everybody, because there's some like back tapes, you know,
right,
like piano and stuff. So we wear in-ears and just throw a click in everybody.
Yeah.
So you all, and after a while, you kind of don't even know it's there.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's probably the better way to do it. Yeah. You know, at the time, I don't think we had the capability.
That's true. I mean, you'd all have to have in-ears, right?
Yeah.
In order for that to work.
Yep.
That's true.
Yep.
Think about that.
Yeah, that would have been better, because there were definitely times where it was like, you know, oh shit, we're starting.
Where are we?
You know, Brett had to, you know, bless his heart, he had to be like on it all the time. You know, and you can tell me, you can probably relate with this with Marquis, but there's such I have a love-hate relationship with stuff like that, because ultimately I'm always in favor. I love cool shows, you know, like when I went and saw, you know, Manson for the first time, or Nine Inch Nails, or those guys, like, they can't do what they do. And hell, Lady Gaga, you know, these people that put on these kinds of performances, you don't do that without somebody playing to a click.
Absolutely.
It's not possible. That also means that you're losing a little bit of that ability to just jam and, you know, go with the flow of the moment. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where, you know, it's like you might want to do this thing
because you can't.
Yeah, I know. And, yeah, I'm a feel guy, so sometimes I would feel the audience, but it's like, well, we already got this set carved out. We're gonna play this set, you know.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess.
I don't know. Do y'all go through that at all?
Well, yeah. I mean, to a certain extent, you know, if something goes wrong, you kind of have to improvise. But we have definite sets. We have different ways that things are going. We have, you know, there's no room for error in a lot of stuff that we do. But that becomes part of Marquis' thing, you know. It's a show band. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, and I love that.
And Tool is the same. If you think about that and that kind of stuff, Tool is kind of that band where, you know, they play to video scenes during their shows. So they have to be right on it with a click the entire time. So when you're in that kind of performance art, it's a different world. Yeah. It's a different thing.
It is a show. It's not.
Show. Yeah. It's not as much jamming.
Yeah, you're not
stuff.
going to just see a rock band playing. You know, so it's a different beast.
It is totally
for sure. When you think about, speaking of playing live, I mean, do you have any kind of, you know, favorite memories of? I mean, you've obviously had a good career now. I mean, what kind of comes to mind when you think about some of those cool moments?
So I think from recent history, I did two years. I did New Year's Eve shows with Joey C. Jones at the Whiskey in Hollywood. growing up in music as we did, and liking those LA bands and knowing about the whiskey and knowing that's where, you know, Van Halen got their start, and you know, there's something to be said about, dude, I'm on the same stage as Jim Morrison.
Hell yeah, there is.
Just fucking awesome.
There's an energy, there's a history there, man.
Yeah, and I mean, the whiskey's tiny. You know, it's maybe 300 people can be in there or something.
But that's what's cool about it.
Yeah. It looks like, the best description I could have for you is the whiskey, if you've never been there, it looks like the Curtain Club. It looks like the Curtain Club at Dallas.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of. But for me to go in there, and be on stage, and we were, both years it was sold out shows. You know, we played with Faster Pussycat and LA Guns. You know?
Okay,
so it was like a really cool nostalgia.
Yeah, hell
thing.
yeah.
But we'd go on and it was fucking packed. And I was like, I'm at the Whiskey where Van Halen played, where Kiss played, where all these bands played. And it was like a dream come true. You know, it was like the coolest thing.
Did you feel that in the moment, or was it more of a reflection afterwards?
Both, I think.
Yeah.
At the moment, I was like, holy shit, you know, oh my God, this is fucking awesome. You know?
Yeah.
And
don't fuck up.
Yeah, and don't fuck up.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, it was funny because it looked so much like the Curtain Club. It was almost like, and I played at the Curtain Club a lot and went and saw bands there all the time.
Right.
So it was almost comforting.
Yeah.
In that so I didn't get too nervous.
Yeah, it's not
it.
playing like it, you know, whatever, Toyota Stadium or some shit where
So as far as like just something that hits you in the feels, that show was like amazing.
Yeah. I can totally see that. I remember John sharing stories like that when he was playing with Bad Dog.
You got me choking red like a dog upon a leash. The more I pull at you, you're tugging back on me. I gave you everything, and done got me cleaned out. You got the boat behind my house.
With that was Russ Martin.
Yeah.
Jeff Martin. Russ Martin from the radio station.
Yeah.
No, but Jeff Martin from Racer X and Badlands was singing, and Russ Parrish from Steel Panther. Was playing guitar.
See, I didn't even know that. It's cool.
Yeah. That was when they were all going to. Well, he and Russ went to guitar, together, and both learned under Paul Gilbert, and it was that whole circle.
Because he's in the inner circle.
Going out and playing at those kinds of places, he would just tell me, man, it's just so cool. Cool.
I think
going out and doing because he and Russ would do these big. John was playing bass,
wasn't he?
Yeah,
that's right. I forgot about that.
He and Russ were kind of known for going out and just doing these badass bass guitar solos together and shit. And cool time for him for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, being able to share that same space for sure. What about? Were you gonna say something?
No. I forgot all about that. That John was playing bass with Bad Dog and stuff. So.
Yeah, and it's like every other story. It's like with Core Factor, where everybody gets. You're so close so many times, with things. We were talking with labels, and they were like, "All right, go do this demo," and well, we got to show it to this one person, then we're good.
Again. I never thought you'd keep me here, but you didn't know she was coming back again.
And then all of a sudden, the Edgewater CD doesn't do as good as they thought.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden they call and they're like, well, we're just not going to sign anybody from Dallas for a while. We're like, well, God damn it. Like,
why?
How
Why
about just one more?
Why are you stopping with us?
Yeah. Same thing with Bad Dog. Like, I mean, they were on the cusp of so many things. And then Jeff got the call to go.
Badlands, right?
Yep.
That was why they didn't play.
Yep. That was what broke it up.
I forgot about that. That's right.
Yeah. Which, I mean, can't fault him really necessarily. I mean, to go, that was Jakey Lee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you get a chance to go, play with
Eric
somebody
Singer
like
was
that.
playing drums for Badlands at the time. And then he left to go play with Kiss.
Okay.
And then that's why they...
I forgot that.
Yeah, that's why they got, what's his name?
Jeff Martin.
Yeah, Jeff Martin.
Yeah.
To play drums on the second Badlands album.
Yes.
Because Singer left to go play with Kiss.
Okay, wow. Yeah, that's so cool, just the way all that kind of...
It's all connected.
It's all connected, man.
Yeah.
That 6 degrees, That's why I like to joke about the inner circle.
I also say that because I am also in the inner circle.
Because it's our inner circle, but then you span out, and we're not very far away from knowing.
See, I didn't know that you knew Matthew JC that well.
You say there's a place.
Yeah.
And knew him that long. And when it reminded me of that, and then I was like, shit, man, we know we're connected.
Yeah,
everywhere.
there's so many. I was joking about that with Chris the other day. I was like, you have this little inner circle, and then all of a sudden you look up one day, and somebody in your close inner circle is playing drums for Korn.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell?
What happened?
Yeah. Because he used to play drum. John used to play drums with Ray in the band for a little while.
That's right.
So it's just this weird. Anyway, it's cool.
Wow.
Speaking of recording, playing live, all that kind of stuff, I am notoriously bad about knowing gear. So I'm trying through this process to learn more.
Yeah.
Because I was always more of like I just plug into the 5150.
Yeah.
And then just play. People will come up and ask, "Oh, what are you playing through? You got some pedals and effects?" I'm like, "I just plug into that, but it worked."
Yeah.
But some people, I mean, they get real, they're like, "What is that? A 42S, whatever?" And I'm like, "I don't know what you're saying."
Yeah.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Because I've never been that. I'm not a technical person that way. I play by feel. But I'm trying to learn. So, I mean, over the years, what kind of stuff what kind of gear, what's your go-to gear, maybe back in the day and then also nowadays?
So I'm a little bit like you in that I went through this thing for a little while where I was switching out gear a lot, trying to get a specific sound and all this stuff. And so I had like a Marshall stack for a while, and I had these like Boss pedals and all
Which
this.
you can't go wrong.
Yeah,
there,
right. But for the longest time, I had a specific like big guitar sound I was trying to get right, and so I was just obsessively changing out stuff.
Yes, very familiar with that process.
So I'd go in, but I went into a music store and I'd see the 5150, the block letter one, the original one, right? And it was right after it came out. Now, I don't mean anything disparaging, but at the time, Peavey didn't make shit that sounded good,
right?
For rock bands. Now they were great for country and everything, but everything
great practice amps.
Yeah, great practice amps. But everything was solid state, so there wasn't really, and even their tube stuff kind of was crappy.
I remember, but it was the 5150 was a Peavey, right? So I remember walking to the music store and I was 5150, Eddie Van Halen made it. It's Peavey. And I'd walk off.
Right.
And then finally I'd kind of make the circle around the music store and go back to it. And then I'd go away and come back to it. Finally I take a guitar. I'm like, I just want to hear it. Eddie Van Halen's name's on it. It can't be all bad. Let me just hear it. And I plugged it in and it went. Fuck.
Yeah.
I want this.
Yeah.
So I got a 5150. I've used for live stuff ever since. That's the only I've ever used. Because
especially if you're just doing a simple rock show, man. You can't beat it.
The less you can have go wrong, the better, you know. Yep. And those guys, the 5150s, and now the after Eddie Van Halen switched to Fender to make 5150s, they have like a 5260 or something, which is kind of the same thing as a 5150. It's the same specs.
I've never heard it though. Is it?
It sounds exactly like it. The electronics are exactly the same. There's a ton of like metal guys that go out and play like what's that? My Valentine band,
Bullet for My Valentine.
Bullet for My, yeah. They all use those. That's their stock amp.
Right.
And they use them.
That makes sense. I can hear that.
Yeah, and they use it because they're road gear. That's like you can throw them around and you can do this and they're great. So for me, it was an accident. So I had this 5150 head. And Brazil was practicing, and we were about to do production on Boom Shanka record, and I was really into wanting a big guitar sound. That was kind of my thing. Because I was really into like Dimebag's sound, and I thought his was buzzsaw, like heavy sound. So I was trying to finding my own thing. So then I had these cabinets that I bought from Gene Fields from Hobbit, and they were empty because, you know, Hobbit and all these bands, they would have like 20 cabinets on stage, but they were all empty, right?
Yeah, the old Kiss trick.
Yeah. So I bought a couple of empty cabs from Gene, and I was looking at one of the cabinets, and it was shaped really weird. And Mark Garton and I were sitting around. I was like, man, this cabinet looks weird. He goes, here, let's just tear it apart and see what's underneath it. Well, it was an orange cabinet. So I tore it apart and it was ragged, but I loaded it with the Celestians that I had in my Marshall 412, right?
All right.
And I loaded this, and the wood that Orange uses is more round and meaty. And so immediately when I stacked that 5150 on top of that orange cabinet, that's the sound that I got on Boom Shaker. It was like just heavy.
Which is good sound.
Yeah, it's a great sound,
I love
right?
it. Yeah.
And it came from that weird combination that I didn't really, it was an accident all the way around.
Right.
And so I kind of found that, and with the music that I was playing, I stuck with that, right? And that's what I played even with Joey. I played with the 51. In fact, I changed. The only thing I
saw a picture.
Yeah,
one of the pictures. I was like, yep, I see it.
Yep, the 5150, same head that I bought from Kelly Barber in East Texas.
Action Sound.
Yeah, Action Sound.
Come and visit me in
But what I did was, the only thing different was when I started playing so much with Joey, I was like, fuck this hauling around music equipment shit.
Right.
I got a 212 orange cab, that was an enclosed, the same thing, but it keeps the sound. Now, it might be a little smaller sound or whatever, but you can't really.
But just for you, I mean,
for what I was doing, the only thing is, it was funny because we'd play these bigger shows, and Joey was like, "Hey man, we need to get a 412 so everything looks big," because I had this dinky little setup on stage. Right. So I'd borrow
Can I just get an empty cab again?
Yeah, can we go back to the empty thing again? So I'd borrow a cabinet from Christian Baird, who was the guitar player in Joey, and have that 412 on stage. But really, I mean, that's what I played with.
Yeah.
And do today. Not with Marquis. With Marquis, it's a whole different thing. So with Marquis, I run through an AX effect. So an AX8, I think is what they are. And it basically is a foot pedal that runs amps, and it's simulated. It's an emulator, and it runs amps and runs. And I'd played with digital equipment before a long time ago, and I never thought it was that great.
No, it wasn't. They were trying.
They were trying, but it wasn't that great.
Yeah.
And so this thing is fucking awesome.
Okay.
I mean, it's
AXE?
AX8, I think is what it's
AX8.
AX effect, yeah.
Okay.
I'll show you the kind of
music. Yeah.
So it takes a lot.
I've been wanting to look for something like that.
Oh, it's so cool.
I can't stand.
Yeah.
Like you said, just pulling the stuff around,
Yeah. And that all I do, I pick up that, and pick up my guitar, and that's about it. That's all I have. I just plug into the system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now,
because you just got to go into your monitors.
Goes
right?
in my in-ears.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have in-ear monitors that I wear. And I think what happened was with Marquis is they were doing some shows, and they would have equipment fails on stage.
'Cause it's a nightmare lurking right there. Bleeding colors all fade to gray. Beware the shadows. What do we know? Out in the gloom, one can lose their head. A twisted scene, an undead dream draws close to tear apart the seams. 'Cause it's a nightmare. Oh, what a nightmare in my machine.
With all the other mechanics that are going around with the band, if like an amp goes out or all this stuff, it's mayhem. And so Toby was like, you know what? Let's just all go with these floor amps that we don't have to worry about setting up an amp on stage.
Especially if you're doing a bigger production too, because it's like it's one less thing you have to fuck
worry
with.
about.
Yeah.
And it took a little bit of time to get used to, because in-ears took me the biggest time.
Yeah, I bet.
Because you're kind of, I mean, it's really cool in a way of you get your own mix and everything, but it takes a lot of that live feel out of it.
Right,
you're kind of separated. But the thing that made the biggest improvement for me was when I first started playing with them, the in-ears that I had were just some plug-in in-ears that I used. So there was bleed through everywhere. Yeah. But I took the time to go to an ear doctor and have him make molds of my ears. And I ordered some fitted in-ear monitors that only fit to my ears. And you really are able to isolate everything and get the mix exactly how you want in your ears. So
you did that at a doctor?
These are our newly arrived surgeons, Doctors Trowbridge and Greenbaum.
Doctor? Doctor?
Doctor? Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
And doctor. Well, we miss anyone?
Well, yeah. I mean, so what happens is you go to an ear doctor and they do ear molds, and then you send those molds out to the manufacturer, and then they
That's
make
cool.
them.
I didn't even know you could do that nowadays.
And you just push them in and twist it in and pop, and it's only fits to your ears.
Yeah, that's badass.
And it isolates every outside sound, because like we still do rehearse in this small room, and drums are live. So by the time practice is over, I'm hearing cymbals in my ears,
Yeah.
But what I did was, once I got these
So it kind of doubles as like an earplug.
It totally was. It isolated the sound. Got rid of all that super high-end frequency that cymbals can give you. Can fucking kill your hearing after a while.
I mean, Brett, we would be recording sometimes in the studio with Brett, and I would play something on the keyboard, some synth pattern or something. I'm like, hey, what do you think about that? And he was like, I didn't even hear that you played something.
Yeah, what was that?
Once it gets to a certain register, in the high register, because of all the drum playing, he can't fucking hear it at all.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, so having those in-ears, cutting out that frequency made life a lot better. Now again, working in that world, working with an amp that's an emulator and in-ears, it's a different world playing in that band. But the band's music speaks to it being that way,
right?
And you just make that adjustment. It's a different, Marquis of Vaudeville is a different animal as far as any band I've ever played. So for me, it's that kind of thing. I look at it, this is the perfect way it should go, this is the way it should be, and then I became a better player just from doing it that way. So
really? Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you can probably hear, you can hear yourself a lot better. And
well, everybody, this is what's cool, everybody in the band gets their own individual mix.
Right,
so
it makes a big difference.
We have the mixes on an iPad, and you just go over to your name, and you can boost whatever you want and take out whatever you don't want, and that mix only affects you, not anybody else.
Yeah, right.
So I love that.
One other thing I wanted to ask you before we wrap up is just, in terms of, I'm always trying to learn and just get better. And so I was curious, what, if there is anything that you can think of, like what's over the years, and you've played with a lot of, talented people, what's kind of been a piece of advice that you've been given over the years that stuck with you and maybe changed a little bit about the way you went things?
Well, I think for me, in my own self, and going back and looking at me playing, I now more than ever just want to enjoy playing and enjoy and not be so wrapped up and stressed out about the bullshit that you kind of make in your own head,
Oh, save my soul from myself. Oh, release my soul from salvation.
And just enjoy the fact that being a musician and being able to play something is remarkable to begin with, and being in a band with like-minded people is remarkable in its own way.
Yeah.
And then actually going out and playing somewhere where people will pay to see you play is even a bigger thing. So the odds are stacked against you as it is, and so to just kick back and see what that is, and just enjoy that, no matter whether, I was so wrapped up, and my friends were, and everybody gets wrapped up, I think, and I just want to make it big. I just want to do this. I just want,
right.
And
I know.
and that fucks with you.
Yeah.
And it makes you not, and then later on you go back and go, wow, I sure really enjoyed that, because that was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
It was really fun. So my friends that I play with, and anybody that asks me about it, I just, man, enjoy it.
We've got a system of schooling which gives a completely different impression. It's all graded. And what we do is we put the child into the corridor of this grade system with a kind of, come on, kitty, kitty, kitty. And now you go to kindergarten, And that's a great thing, because when you finish that, you'll get into first grade. And then, come on, first grade leads to second grade, and so on, and then you get out of grade school, you go to high school, and it's revving up, the thing is coming. Then you're going to go to college, And by Jove, then you get into graduate school, and when you're through with graduate school, you go out to join the world. And then you get into some racket where you're selling insurance, and they've got that quota to make, and you're going to make that. And all the time, the thing is coming. It's coming. It's coming. That great thing, the success you're working for. Then when you wake up one day about 40 years old, you say, my God, I've arrived. I'm there. And you don't feel very different from what you always felt. And there's a slight letdown because you feel there's a hoax. And there was a hoax. A dreadful hoax. They made you miss everything. By expectation. Because we simply cheated ourselves the whole way down the line. We thought of life by analogy with a journey, with a pilgrimage, which had a serious purpose at the end, and the thing was to get to that end, success or whatever it is, or maybe heaven after you're dead. But we missed the point the whole way along. It was a musical thing, and you were supposed to sing or to dance while the music was being played.
You know, it doesn't matter whether you become this big star or what. Just enjoy the fact that you're able to do it, you know, and do it well and have a great time. You know, I just try to have fun doing it. You know, after playing with Joey was a dream come true for me because I was a big fan of him for years and years and years, and then getting to play with him for I think 5 years I did, and he passed away a year and a half ago from cancer. You know,
that's unfortunate.
Just being able to enjoy that time with him, you know, and do that, and realize that you know, not everybody gets to do something cool as this, you know. And not sweat it. I tell a story all the time. It's funny. I'll never forget this. It was when Brazil was playing, and we were playing a show, and we had pretty good little fans that would come up and talk to us and stuff. And this one guy came up to me. It was so funny. He seemed irritated. And this is so funny. And he came up and he's like, man, why don't y'all just make it big? Like he was irritated with us.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, that's it. That's the missing piece.
I didn't think of that. Which is a compliment.
It totally is a compliment.
Yeah.
It was the sweetest dude.
Yeah.
But it was hilarious. I thought it was so funny looking back on it. He was irritated with us.
Yeah.
That we're just not making it big. You know what I mean? But, you know, I mean, it was that kind of stuff that made it fun and funny. You know, I love it.
Yeah, it took me a while to come into that, you know.
I think everybody goes through that.
Yeah. For a long time, I just, you know, you want things to be perfect and on and just.
And when is that fun if you're so stressed about it being perfect?
Yeah, big time. You know, to me, there was two big moments that shifted it for me. One was getting to play in Livewire. So I don't know if you remember this band. It was a band called Livewire that we did, and it was just an 80s tribute band we did for a little while. Brett was playing drums, John and Jesse Bedwell was playing guitar. Jesse, that's playing with Kirk Harper band now, and played in Wizard back in the day, and a lot of other projects.
Phenomenal player too.
Yeah,
fucking awesome player.
I was playing bass. And Bill Urin was playing. It was singing.
Yeah, that's cool.
There was these moments where I would just, you know, maybe we would start playing something like Operation Mindcrime, you know, and it's just got that killer intro and the way that yes and. And Brett and I just, you know, jamming together, and I would look around. I'm like, okay, so I have fulfilled something I wanted to do as a kid. You know, when I was a kid, all I wanted to do was be old enough to play with all you guys. And never thought I would actually really be able to do it, but I wanted to.
Yeah.
And then fast forward, and I'm on stage, and I'm playing with all the people that I grew up watching.
Yeah.
And it was just such a kind of like, wow, you know, this is a really cool moment that I'm being able to do this now. So that was one moment.
That's awesome.
And then the other moment was way later on when we were doing the two-man acoustic stuff, Daniel and I. And the most fun I had was after the show, we would go back to Daniel's place. A bunch of people would come by. And we would just continue the show, you know, but everybody would play.
Oh, cool.
We would just pass the guitars around, different people would sing. And it was so fun.
Yeah.
Just that communal kind of aspect, everybody just having a good time together. It didn't matter if you played the right notes or sang very well or any of those. None of that mattered. All that mattered was that you were just singing songs, having a good time. Yeah. And I was like, man, I wish I could rewind and take that same attitude, you know, whenever I used to play on stage.
So don't ask me, Hank, why do you drink? Why do you roll smoke? Why must you live out the songs that you wrote over and over? Everybody's made my prediction. If I get stoned and drink all night long, it's a family tradition.
But speaking of the just growing up around y'all, one of the other cool moments for me personally was when I first started writing music with Kirk, because that was like I had looked up to him for so long, and then when I started playing with him and realizing that people like he and John were looking up to me and what I was producing, I was like, wow.
Replay.
All I got left is a fade of pictures, and I finally know now that I couldn't fix it. From the end to the start and death to its part, you were everything to me, but it's not who you are. So let it all fall and go and find yourself. Karma comes around, I'm not going to hell. Until you up and ran, I became a man. Say goodbye, I'm done, and I hope you understand, cause
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was such a weird kind of surreal feeling, but
That's
anyway,
awesome.
Anyway. Okay, last question.
Yep.
So when you are not playing music, what are you doing?
I'm watching movies. I love the movies.
In the not too distant future.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of watching. Well, it's funny you mentioned Mystery Science Theater because that's one of my favorite all-time shows.
Yeah,
it's
great.
I love that show. But yeah, that's
so cool on YouTube. They're all on YouTube now. It's so awesome.
Yeah. And there's like a Mystery Science Theater app now that has all the early stuff for free.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but so yeah, I think my biggest pastime that I love to do is just chilling out and watching movies. It's like, I've always been a big fan of movies and music.
So there's a great line by Lev Manovich that says that cinema essentially became a new branch of painting in time. Think about it. No other technology that preceded it for capturing the numinous, for clothing the numinous, unfolded in the fourth dimension of time. So photography, we were able to take a picture of a moment. Ecstatic painting, again, creating a portrait, a snapshot of an ephemeral experience. Whereas cinema became this branch of painting that unfolds in time. And so consider that notion. All of a sudden, we had a technologically mediated dream space, a way to access, a portal to the numinous that unfolded in the fourth dimension. So cinema became a kind of waking dream where we could travel in space and time, where we could travel in mind. this became more than virtual reality. This became a real virtuality, the simulated catharsis, the symbolic allegorical hero's journey we got to take every time we watched a movie became real, right? Was literalized in our psyche. You know, we became literally soul surfers when we watch movies. And like the film Inception says, the director is able to architect what is essentially a dream space that the audience can then fill with their subconscious. You know, Linklater goes even farther. He says that that human beings knew how to watch movies because we've been doing it for hundreds of thousands of years already in the dream space. And so the reason that it was so natural, so intuitive, so innate for us to know exactly how to watch movies when these came online was because we've been doing it every night forever. So what we see with cinema is that technological advancements met consciousness in a new art form, giving us access to new numinous realms. And I love this notion because I love the transformative capacity of cinema as a maximum, ultimate expression of intersubjective explorations, transpersonal spaces, you know, the spaces of dream, the spaces of mind, liminal zones, you know, to push the limits of theatrical illusion to see what we can learn about ourselves.
But do you gravitate to anything, or are you pretty open?
I'm open to anything. I love really shitty B movies. I like crime film. I love because I'm a graphic designer and a web developer, and I work in Photoshop and all that stuff. I love like the effects driven stuff because it's amazing to me that the stuff you can do nowadays. Yeah, it's scary nowadays with deep fake stuff, but.
Right.
You know, I mean,
it's a different conversation. But.
Totally. But yeah, so I think I like it all.
Yeah. So don't you? I mean, yeah. So you're probably like me. Like it just kills me when just the internet trolls sometimes. You know, when that CGI sucks. You know, we're all like, Jesus Christ, you have any idea what it takes? Yeah, to do one simple little scene. Yeah, you wouldn't say that even if it did suck, because you would feel bad because somebody's worked their ass off on that thing. You know,
I had an independent film company with a buddy of mine for like we made independent films for like 3 or 4 years, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, and we had one film that went to like the Santa Fe Film Festival in New Mexico and got to present it there. And we were idiots. We didn't know what we were doing. We were just like, oh, let's make some movies. Let's do this. Let's do that. Yeah,
that's all right.
And when you see what kind of a thing, like we did a 3-minute short that we submitted to Project Greenlight, and just to do that, the logistics of finding a place to film, and it had 3 locations, so we had to find 3 locations, and it was only a 3-minute film, and I was like, fuck, man, this is hard.
Yes.
And I can't imagine what it takes to do a big production.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked with Matt at his place called Red Lux Productions, and we did like videos and music videos and stuff like that. And again, same thing, the logistics of filming a 3-minute video is fucking amazing.
Right.
Really hard.
Yeah, exactly. There's just so much that goes into it. Yeah. It's incredible. So, add-on question to that: are there any movies or a movie that you can think of that really hit you from a sonic perspective, from the music?
The Crow.
Or okay,
The Crow.
Yeah,
without a question. That fucking movie, to this day, it's like my favorite film of all time.
Golgotha Tenement Blues, man. That song, you can. When I first heard that song, I thought I had fast forwarded like 10 years.
Yeah.
I was like, this sounds like something I've never heard before.
Yeah,
and that bass, just the bass. I was like, how do they do that? It sounds so cool.
Yeah, that absolutely The Crow. I've watched it.
Big Empty. I mean, it's got so many good songs
on there.
Yeah.
And my daughter, my sweet little daughter, when she was a little kid, it was like, welcome to the family. The first thing you're going to do is watch The Crow. And to this day, she's 30 now, and to this day, she's like, I've got to watch The Crow. It's my favorite.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Which, speaking again of the 6 Degrees Inner Circle.
There is no inner circle.
John used to train with Brandon Lee.
Oh, wow.
Because John managed a gym out there for a while, and that's how he met Brandon through there, and he actually got to be pretty good friends with him, and trained in martial arts with him, and went, you go have dinner with him and his wife, and he said he was just the coolest, nicest dude that you can ever meet.
He seemed that for sure, and I was a huge Brandon Lee fan before The Crow, and I remember being so happy for the dude that he got that film. And I was so excited about it, and it was so fucking devastating that he was killed on set.
Time to take her home. Her dizzy head is consciously. Time to take her ride and leave today. No conversation. Time to take her home. Her dizzy head is consciously. Time to wait too long, to wait too long, to wait too long.
And then, of course, the movie comes out. His mother and sister, I think, made sure to tell them, "Hey, you finished this film," because it was his dream to get this out.
Right.
So, of course, they put the Crow out. It came out, I think it was a year later, because they had to piece it together. You're right. There was, they were close to being done, but there was a sub story they had to cut out.
They
had to get a double.
I remember they had to film, that double, some fight scenes and stuff. So luckily it was fight scenes, so you can kind of get around
that
it.
whole scene in the Crow where the little girl goes up there and when he walks in and there's rain coming down and he's putting the mat, putting all the clothes on and all that stuff. That was filmed with a double. Which I think was a guy from the John Wick. It was a stunt double.
Oh, really?
Worked in John Wick.
Okay, cool.
But anyway, so
that's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's cool, right? But anyway, so when you go and see that movie after Brandon's been killed and it's so fresh, the next year, and they talk about death and he talks about dying.
Oh, I know.
It's so fuck, it's just a weight over.
You mean when he talks about it outside of the film?
Yeah. Well, not only outside of the film, but
inside of it.
When
Actually,
he talks about, the whole movie is based on loved ones dying and coming back to put revenge on their death, and it's a weight on the whole film. But the music for that film, that I think it's one of the best-selling rock soundtracks ever. I think it's sold 10 or 15 million copies.
Every night I call, every night I call your name. Every night I call, every night I call again.
Which is no surprise.
I would believe that.
And if you think about it, at the time when it came out, there were probably one or two musician bands on there that somebody actually heard of. There was it was all picked out by the dude that what's his name, the guy that wrote The Crow, the original comic book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I met him one time and his name slips me. Sorry, dude.
Yeah. No, I did an episode with Drew. I haven't put it out yet, but I pulled in a clip from that guy.
Yeah.
So I know who you're talking about. I just can't think of his name either.
So anyway, he was the one that picked all the music for the album.
Wow. I'm surprised they'd let him do that.
That was kind of in his writer, I think.
Okay. That's awesome. He was like, all right, look, we can make this movie, but I'm picking the movie music.
Once, calling me twice. Everything gonna turn out nice. Everlasting arms, you gotta keep me from these false alarms.
And Toby and I talk about this because he's a huge fan of The Crow. And funny story, the author James O'Barr is a huge fan of Marquis of Vaudeville, and before I was in the band, he'd come see the band play, talk about what a big fan he was, and Toby was a huge fan of James and The Crow, and so they had a lot of stories to share, and that was one of the things they talked about, was that James was the guy that picked the music for the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And it was such, he got a bunch of naysayers, and nobody's going to fucking care about who this is, and now it's one of the biggest selling soundtracks of all time. So
yeah, that's pretty cool for him, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like, yep, see, I knew what I was talking about. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Well, hey, listen, I really appreciate you coming in into the studio and doing the show. It's been really cool just having everybody in and being able to just, I don't know, it's paying homage back to you guys a little bit because, you guys kind of took me under y'all's wings whenever I was a wee lad, and didn't know what the hell I was doing, just wanted to be a part of it. And everybody kind of just treated me like I was
You're part of it.
One of the people.
Yeah.
And I owe, I feel like that influenced me not just in music, but in my entire life.
That's awesome.
I just always kind of felt like, hey, if I just kind of believe in what I'm doing, then I will be accepted and that kind of thing. So I really appreciate it. And
absolutely.
And
love you, man.
Love you too. Appreciate the conversation. It's been awesome. We got to definitely have you back in. Cool. Always looking for people to have good conversations with. I don't know if you have anything. Where can people? Where's the best place for people to keep in touch with you or Marquis of Vaudeville, that kind of thing?
So with Marquis, if you want to go and see the videos and listen to, they have 2 albums out that are streaming, and we're working on new music. So go to movmusic.com to see that.
Dark hearts won't stop what we've begun. Wild soldiers marching is
And anybody that wants to, any of my friends that doesn't know how to get in touch with me, just email me, Antonio@karmainc.com, and I would love to hear from you.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
KarmaInc.com.
Okay, cool. Right on, man. Well, for everybody listening, don't forget to tune in to the Boombox Music Talk YouTube page so you can check out all the media and music referenced on this episode, which is gonna be a good one. You can always follow us. The easiest way is just to go to Linktree at Boombox Music Talk. It's got all of our links to not only the socials, but the different destinations where the podcast is, although it's pretty much anywhere that you can find podcasts where you listen to it, you can get it. So man, yeah, appreciate you. Thanks for coming in for Boombox Music Talk. I'm Mark, and we wish you to enjoy the journey and stay zen.
Production.
If only the picture could change, and I could be always what I am now. For that I would give everything. There's nothing in the whole world I would not give. I would give my soul for that.